Okay, so you've made a freaking fresh feature film, fam, or a super scintillating short, son? That was one of the weirdest things that I've ever read off of a teleprompter. And you've already decided that film festivals are going to be your first step on the road to showcasing your work, building an audience, and networking with the big wigs. So you sit down at your computer, open up FilmFreeway because that's where the fests are at, and you stare blankly at the number showing they have 12,368 festivals you should apply to. Wait, what? There are a lot of film festivals out there, and finding the right ones to apply to can be just as important to your festival run as having a great film in the first place. So today, we're going to tackle one of the most valuable ways you can go about deciding between film festivals: their size. And spoiler alert, size does matter, but not in the way that you think. It doesn't necessarily mean you should go apply to the Big Ten and call it a day. Which festivals you choose, how many you submit to, and their size should all come down to a candid conversation you have with yourself about your film. To me, it boils down to 6 key factors you need to be mindful of when you're submitting to film festivals: your film's quality, genre, length, the story or impact it's going to have on the viewer, budget, and your goals for what you want out of your film festival run. And we'll get into all of these, but first let's talk about what I mean when I say big and small film festivals. There are a lot of factors you can look at when it comes to film festival size. Sundance, which only brings in about 40,000 in-person attendees every year, is viewed as one of the best fests on earth. 40K may sound large, but you can compare that to festivals like Toronto and Berlin, which both host an estimated 500,000, 500,000 freaking attendees every year. That's the big audience. You also have festivals which are big in the total number of films screened, like Flickr's Rhode Island International Film Festival, which selects 650 films each year, versus Real World Film Festival, which only accepts 36. Cleveland International Film Festival boasts over $130,000 in cash prizes, while many film festivals have no cash prizes whatsoever. So, yeah, you can see why film festival size really depends on what your goals are: money, audience, networking, acceptance rate, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's take a look at these 6 criteria you should be looking at when deciding whether large or small film festivals are right for you and what that large and small mean for you. First, let's start with quality. And that's not the quality of the film festival. That's the quality of your film. I'm serious. You need to take a very long and hard look at your film and ask yourself if it's going to be one of the best 20 feature length or 200 best short films released this year. I mean, a deep, heart-wrenching, soul-crushing, pragmatic self-evaluation. Top 200 short films sounds like an easy thing to achieve, but you have to remember that if you made a short, you're up against every single student thesis film, every middle and high schooler with a phone, every budding genius with a concept, and every writer with a tear-jerking feels story that they want to share with the world. And don't take it personal, but definitely do your best to make an impartial, unbiased, unemotional decision about whether you're going to be one of the absolute best films out there this year. If you're not, that's totally fine. You're still going to have 12,268 film festivals to weed through, and you've just done yourself the service of eliminating the top 100 and likely some of the most expensive film festivals you could have applied to. You're saving money. My first film had a fantastic story, a focus on inclusivity, and real impact on real lives, but I knew I had a long way to go when it came to cinematography on the set and the color correction I was doing in the edit. So I knew when applying to film festivals for the first time that my money was better spent on festivals I knew I had a good chance of getting accepted into. I would take a few measured risks with my applications, but I wasn't going to go all out on the premier fests. Of what I deemed the top 100, I carefully picked 4 that I thought I had the best chance of getting into based on my story and genre, and despite my film's shortfalls. That brings us to number 2 and 3, category and length. They're literally the 2 most useful filters available to you on FilmFreeway. On my first film, 12,000 film festivals became 9,000 when I filtered for only film festivals accepting documentaries. That 9,000 became 5,000 when I filtered down to festivals accepting feature-length films, which were 97 minutes long. You want to talk about unemotional decisions? Don't apply to film festivals that don't have a category for your film. Duh. Number 4 is story and impact. These are nothing more than just looking at what your film's about and who's going to be impacted by it, then finding film festivals which align with those niches. FilmFreeway has a filter they call Festival Focus, which helps you narrow down your results a little bit. They aren't broken down this way, but you can effectively filter based on demographics like Asian, Black, African, Indigenous, Native, and Latino Hispanic, social cause, environmental, human rights, gender, and LGBTQ+, and even some of the genre niches like action, adventure, comedy, children, sci-fi, fantasy, and thriller. And you can expand beyond that using the search feature if you have other impacted groups you want to focus on. For example, my first film, again, was about adaptive athletes or athletes with disabilities. A quick FilmFreeway search for the word disabilities turned up some highly focused film festivals I knew I'd have a much higher chance of getting accepted into. Number 5 is the budget. Like, what's your budget for this? Film festivals, no matter how incredible they are, can be expensive. Submission fees for some of the premier festivals out there can be upwards of $120 a piece. Then you need to factor in the time, the travel, local transportation, lodging and food, and the cost of any promotional materials. And if you're lucky, a dog sitter, because dogs. There's the catch-22. Festivals are your best gateway to advancing your career and a great avenue to start monetizing your project, but it's going to cost you to get there. What I've found is that it's best to balance the larger, more expensive, harder to get into festivals with the smaller, cheaper, higher acceptance rate film festivals. Those smaller festivals can sometimes have submission fees at or lower than $20. If your budget is $500 for film festival submissions and you're not confident that you have one of the best 20 films of the year, spend only like $200 on the moderate to large film festivals that fit your film best, then $300 on 15 to 20 smaller regional festivals. A general rule out there for film festivals is that good films have an average acceptance rate of only about 25%, which means that this tactic gives you a 50% chance of being featured in large film festivals and a high chance of being included in at least 5 smaller regional festivals. If you have more money, then go for it. But if $500 is going to be incredibly difficult to come by, then be much more selective and really hone in on the festivals you think there's very little chance of getting rejected from. The more niche you get from category, size, locale, genre, special interest, political bent, and social cause, the more likely you are to get accepted. And if you're really going to struggle to find any money to apply to and travel to film festivals, that's okay. While they can be incredibly helpful, they're not the only pathway to success. You can focus more on viral and organic marketing, self-distribution, and the like, which brings me to number 6, your goals. If this is your end-all, be-all project and you're never going to have a chance or an idea like this again, it may make sense to go hard for large film festivals. If your film gets selected into one of the Big 10, it's a possibility smaller festivals will offer you waivers for free submission or let you skip the submission process altogether after you've had a huge premiere, because they want the honor of featuring one of the best films of the year. Can you be honest with yourself about how good your first film is and save the money and heartache of large festivals in order to focus on regional small festivals? That's a really healthy way to go about it, and one that can give you an opportunity to test the waters, learn and grow, network, and build a solid foundation for your next project. Because remember, this is a long-term game. You can be young and wild and reckless, which does work sometimes, or you can be methodical, thorough, consistent, and steadfast. I wholeheartedly believe that if you're patient and brutally efficient, and you make the right decisions, the best content will always eventually rise to the top. And there's the list. Do you think your film is going to be one of the 20 best indies released this year? I want to hear about it in the comments. And if small film festivals are right for you, I've made this awesome video that's going to help you look at the coolest small film festivals on FilmFreeway. I'll catch you in the next video.